On October 1st, Israel sent ground forces into Lebanon after months of artillery exchanges with Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militia group. This was followed by Israeli bombing raids aimed at decimating the militia's leadership and infrastructure. Hezbollah began shelling northern Israel over a year ago when Hamas fighters crossed into Israel from Gaza, killing 1,200 Israelis and taking 251 hostages. Israel invaded Lebanon less than a week after Hezbollah's communication devices started exploding. Israel was alerting Hezbollah and the world of its security capabilities. Israeli bombing raids spread from Hezbollah command centers on the southern outskirts of Beirut to the residential and commercial center, displacing civilians with no shelter. Hospitals in the city are overwhelmed by civilian casualties. In his general audience on October 9th, Pope Francis called the escalation of violence unacceptable. 4 days later, an Israeli missile destroyed a Greek Catholic church in Tyre where locals had taken shelter. 8 bodies were recovered from the rubble. On Sunday, October 13th, Israeli tanks broke through the gates of a United Nations peacekeeping force in southern Lebanon, injuring several peacekeepers. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had told them to move north. They refused, citing their international mandate. In response, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stated the attack on unarmed peacekeepers may be a war crime. Lebanon was once the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. That began to change in the 1950s when Palestinian refugees sought safe haven in Lebanon. In 2023, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency reported 250,000 Palestinians in Lebanon. A second wave of 1.5 million refugees crossed into Lebanon from Syria during the civil war. These conflicts have devastated Lebanon, a country less than half the size of Vermont. Lebanon is also in a financial crisis and has been without a president since 2022. Netanyahu's chilling threat echoed a strategy known as the Dahiya Doctrine, named for the Dahiya neighborhood of Beirut, where Hezbollah had its command headquarters during Israel's 2006 invasion of Lebanon. Israel's strategy was to destroy the infrastructure, causing civilian suffering to incite the Lebanese against Hezbollah. The strategy didn't work in 2006, and there is no reason to think it will work today. In a video message on October 9th, Netanyahu warned Lebanon would become another Gaza unless the Lebanese rose up against Hezbollah. This has direct implications for the United States, Israel's staunchest ally and biggest arms supplier. The bunker bombs dropped on Beirut are supplied by the United States, making Netanyahu's refusal to limit violence against civilians more egregious. The administration's efforts to prevent a wider war are buried under Israeli airstrikes. In his 1972 World Day of Peace address, Pope Paul VI said, "If you want peace, work for justice. Peace is not treachery or a lie. Peace will come to Lebanon and the Middle East with justice for Palestine. Until then, Lebanon remains a victim." For more Christian news, subscribe to our newsletter.